See, hi, how's it going? Um, I'm it's gonna look like I'm staring at some random thing just because of how this phone shows the picture, because I'm looking at myself in the picture, but such is the such. Um, that's how I can do it full screen like this, and you can see my amazing face. Um, so let's see, is anything new this week or I guess AOC has continued her meltdown. She's did some weird videos where she just like spazzing out and like gesticulating wildly the whole time and just not making any sense. What did she say? I don't know. She did a few videos that were pretty weird meltdown videos where she's trying to, I guess, go for the goods, the TikTok crowd or something, where you're supposed to be dramatic. So she did all these very dramatic, like little gimmicks with her voice and hands and arms and stuff. But I don't think it's gonna save her from the fact that people see through her now. You know, she's in the position of people like Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, um, that she built. You know, like she built her whole like empire on progressives, and now she's basically openly um telling progressives off, and uh but like, I mean, are the centrists really gonna promote her? Like I don't know if she, even from a like sold out position, like perspective, I don't know if she's being smart, because it's like all these people, like that was their support. Like who's gonna elect Elizabeth Warren? Now she can't even, Elizabeth Warren can't even get elected. Like what was, she came in third in Massachusetts in her own damn state, right? And so and AOC's headed the same direction now, that so many people are pissed off at. Basically, all the like real progressives are pissed off at her or hate her, and the only supporters she has are just people like her who never gave a shit anyway. They're just like faux aggressives so they can virtue signal or whatever. Um, so like yeah, apparently she quit Twitter, or I think she hasn't tweeted for like at least like 3 days or maybe longer, like 5 days or something. Um, so that's cool. I think, yeah, I think her last tweet was like April 1st. She tweeted something like "Happy birthday" to Jamal Bowman or somebody. Um, anyway, so that's cool. I mean, that kind of ranks up with when we trolled Alyssa Milano into having a meltdown and breaking her silence about Tara Reid, and doing her like crazy video that she did about that, where she basically said, "Well, I trust Joe, and it's just like with Harvey, and anyway, like it's another mask off moment, or like when Elizabeth Warren went mask off last winter." So this is good. It's very good, But I mean, it's just interesting. I'm just interested to know like how she's supposed to have a political future. I mean, it could be that the centrists will just pay her off because they just figure, what else can they do? They just wait for each new progressive and then buy them out and pay them off, and it might be expensive, but what else can they do? But yeah, who knows? I mean, that's kind of what happened to like Howard Dean. Like he was like a supposed progressive, and then they just basically paid him off by like lifelong sinecures and whatever, and like the DNC and whatever. And then he became their lapdog. So maybe that'll be the same for AOC, but it's like neither one of them. I mean, he's not ever going to be able to like run for president and get anywhere near the enthusiasm he got. And I think she's in the same boat now. Like she's never going to have, like, the only people who like her are the people who don't really like anyone. They just are like fake people who just, you know, they they want to virtue signal and pretend they're like they care about, issues just like her, like for a certain type of person, like activism and politics is just like a fashion statement. It's like, oh yeah, I totally care about this and da da da. Anybody cares about this. But then when push comes to shove, they don't really care about that. So anyway, Bon Voyage, AOC, Tango Down. I guess Ryan Grimm has been recently like pretty bad. I guess he was trashing Jimmy Dore and shilling for AOC. And I mean, I hesitate to just totally demonize him, mostly just because he helped break the Tara Reid story. Like I think that he's like pretty sold out, like most people in the media are, but I don't know. I still give him credit for that because if he hadn't done that, I mean, that was not something that was helping the people he's shilling for now, which is the Democrats and the squad and whatever. It totally hurt them. And even at the time, like he was very, ambivalent about it. Like he basically wouldn't actually write about Tara Reid. He was saying like, well, I'm gonna write about Time's Up because that's, he's like, well, I don't have evidence to prove what Tara Reid is saying, but I do have evidence to prove, like what Tara Reid said about Joe Biden, but I do have evidence to prove what she said about Time's Up. So, like he was like, just from hearing him say that, like, I'm like, okay, we're never going to expect this guy to be super radical. It took Katie Halper to actually just say, I'm going to cover this because, it's a newsworthy story, it's a credible accusation. And so I would say I'm quicker to dismiss AOC than I am Ryan Grimm, just for that reason, just because of Tara, because that was such an important issue uh, in the last year. Um, I mean, Tara, I think I pissed off Tara somehow on Twitter. She won't follow me anymore. I probably just turf posted or shit posted too much or something. So that hurts, but be that as it may, we still have a president who's a rapist, and it was very good that she did come forward, and I'm not gonna stop supporting her in that cause, until there's justice. Anyway, everybody's unfollowed me on Twitter, like anybody who's anybody. But like anybody who's anybody on left Twitter, like all the people who like dominate left Twitter, basically the people everybody retweets on left Twitter, pretty much all those people like used to follow me. I mean, I followed them, they followed me back a year ago, or a year ago, maybe less than a year ago. Anyway, last summer, last spring or summer, until I got canceled for being a turf or whatever, being quote unquote gender critical, not being gender woke enough. So, I mean, good riddance to all of them, but at the same time, I'm not saying that's why Tara won't follow me. I don't know why she won't follow my but anyway, like I'll just talk about the turf thing because that's always going on. And the leftists are the problem in this. Leftists, I mean, honestly, like leftists are the most right wing people on this planet sometimes. Like the most bourgeois, the most anti, like the most white supremacists. Because when it comes down to it, like who actually like supports gender ideology, like modern woke gender ideology? It's like the left, like they want to cancel anybody who's not super woke. They know that means canceling everybody who's not white, mostly in the world. Like, canceling all the non-Westerners. Like all this bullshit, like woke shit, doesn't come from like Nigeria. It doesn't come from China. It comes from America, like the American KKK universities, and it comes from white people. You know, some of them might be Jewish. I don't care. They're white. Like it's. I mean, whatever. Okay, maybe that's a factor too, but I think in general, it's just white people. It's white Westerners, white bourgeois, Western college, you know, uh, LARPers, I guess. I mean, a lot of them are people who, in a way, like they, class wise, they should be right wing, but it's unpopular to be like just out and out right wing. So it's better to be like leftist, but so woke that you end up not only hating all poor people or most poor people, but having a woke excuse to hate poor people because they're not as woke as your college friends. Um, so yeah, like all these people like used to follow me, unfollowed me on Twitter. I don't even know if I said Twitter. Sometimes I just assume like Twitter's the world now. Now I've only really been on Twitter for like a year, but yeah, all these people unfollowed me on Twitter, and I give Ryan Knight credit that he eventually refollowed me. I've heard he's done that for some other people, but you know, I mean, there's probably a lot of people who unfollowed me and then ultimately refollowed me. So, okay, I mean that's better than just unfollowing me forever. Um, I like to give people another chance, but yeah, like all these people like who like I think Fiorella, Isabel, whatever from LA, and Savage Joy, uh, Socialist MMA, uh, I don't know. The list goes on. There's an endless list. I just turn on Twitter and every retweet I see is almost from somebody that like used to follow me and unfollowed me for like woke reasons. Um, so anyway, I mean these are the least woke people. It's like there's woke and there's woke. To me, like a real woke is like a red pilled person who realizes like the government is like poisoning us and destroying us and using identity politics to do it. Um, oh my God, shut up, Oreo. What's your problem? You loud freak. My cat is really loud. Let's meet Oreo. Meow. 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 He's very random and like cantankerous. Right, Oreo? You're always like upset about something, but we don't know what. It's just really loud and whiny. But I don't know. What else should I say? I should say something more substantive. Uh, well, let's see. I just finished making I published an article on Medium, uh, which is just hellscapes and hell spells from the Book of Two Ways in ancient Egypt. Um, Basically, like 4,000-year-old maps of America, which uh, which the Egyptians called the underworld. I mean, everybody in Africa probably called it the underworld. Everybody in Asia and Europe, and because it was underneath the world for them. Whereas for us, our underworlds are like Asia. I mean, for us in America, like Europe, Asia, and Africa are our underworlds. Um, so anyway, like the Book of Two Ways, it has a bunch of spells in it, which like it basically has a map of America, and then each locality like is named. Oh my God! Shut up, Oreo! You dumb, awesome cat. Um, and so it has all the localities, and then it has spells, which are like some of the oldest, quote unquote, like magic spells in the world. But spells actually just means an utterance. Like spell is like the same root word as like spiel or speak. So spell just means something like that you say, which is funny because we have the word spell, like that's how you write something. But I think originally the original etymology for that was speech. Um, so these spells are just things you're supposed to utter, you're supposed to say when you reach each locality. And so I will probably do a video about that. I mean, I've done videos about that, but I'll probably do another one where I, like show the maps and show where all the spells are, where all the labels are, etc. Um, so it's important for history. I mean, that was like the basis of a lot of ancient culture was based around the Americas and the knowledge and science that were interwoven into their study of the Americas. Because, like they had to study the Americas in order to study the universe, because there are like things that you can't see, stars and planets, whatever, you can't see as well from Africa or Asia or whatever. So you have to come to America. Like I think Plutarch might have talked about that when he was talking about the face and the moon, that you could see different parts of the moon from the islands, the Hades, basically the underworld across the ocean, which he said that there were some Greeks that had settled there. Um, so, I think it's important stuff like this book. It's called the Book of Two Ways. And it's an ancient, 4,000-year-old coffin text. that that was limited basically to the elites of the nome of Hierakonpolis. No, not Hierakonpolis. Uh, Hermopolis, which is to say, like, I mean, Egypt was divided into nomes. Those are like districts or kind of provinces. They're all along the Nile. Like, of course, all of Egypt is along the Nile, basically. Most of Egypt, uh, the actual centers of civilization and settlement. So, all along the Nile is divided up into different nomes, and each nome has its own god. So Hermopolis is the city of Hermes, which is Thoth. It's basically the city of Thoth, but the Greeks called it Hermopolis because they believed that Hermes is the same as Thoth, which I'm kind of skeptical of because I've never seen any parallel between Hermes and Thoth. I don't think I have ever seen anything similar about. But I mean, it's not like I know that much about Hermes. It's like I think Hermes is like associated with Mercury. Um, if I'm not mistaken, whereas Thoth is, to my knowledge, associated with the moon. I mean, now there's people trying to say that Thoth is the sun or something. But yeah, I think Thoth is the moon. So anyway, so the elites in this nome, in this district of Egypt, they would have maps of America painted and often, well, I don't know if they're incised or just painted um, inside their coffins, or even sometimes on the underside of their coffins, which makes sense because it's the underworld. So it's like, um, it's even like if you put it on the underside of the coffin, then it's even lined up like east west to like what it really is underneath the earth, which is like flipped from what east west is in Egypt. Um, so in that way, it's kind of more similar to the Hierakonpolis map of America. That's the 5,000 plus year old map, which is actually flipped itself over east to west, as if you're like looking at the underside of America through the Earth's core or whatever. Um, so anyway, I posted like I guess four maps, four versions of the map of from the Book of Two Ways from these coffins. Alongside like a picture of the Americas just from satellite or something like that. Um, and and then I just transcribed basically all the utterances and labels from within the actual map section. I mean, the full Book of Two Ways is, I think, taken to apply to the entire coffin, which has a bunch of other text and some other uh, illustrations too, I believe, that are outside of the map section. But they it's like, I don't know. I'm gonna go through a lot of that because I'm sure a lot of that pertains as well. Like that pertains probably to the voyage to America and back or something, and or maybe just it describes like it might even describe how to sail around the entire planet. It seems like it might describe Australia at some point. but it also might describe America itself in more detail. But for now, at least, I'm just focusing just on the map part. So I just put all the, like every single bit of text from the map, and then a fair amount of analysis and commentary on the text by Wael Sherbini, who's the Egyptian Egyptologist who is basically the world's expert on the Book of Two Ways. He's been studying it for like 20 years. And so he has some good analysis on the text, especially some of the more indeterminate passages that are, kind of untranslatable or have imprecise translations. And I give some of my own analysis. For one thing, basically showing which parts of that map, where in America each location of the map is, and then just giving some extra commentary as well, analysis and background information and stuff. So I posted that on Medium, and so yeah, on Medium I think I'm Rowan Campbell Millar, probably the only Rowan Campbell Millar, so you can check that out. I'm gonna edit it more later and add more to it, because you can do that on Medium, but ultimately it's gonna also be part of a larger separate article about the underworld, which will, delve in more to like all the different cultures, Hinduism, you know, Greek, Roman, Mesopotamian, Nordic, Celtic, and maybe some Aztec and Inca, Mayan, basically all the different, et cetera, like a whole bunch of different cultures, traditions regarding the underworld. So that I'm hoping to finish this month. We'll see if I can pull it off either this month or soon thereafter. I think I have most of the text in the document that I need. So I just got to add a bit and then edit it down and arrange it better. So right now it's like 50 something, 56 pages, I believe. So maybe 57. So try to get it down to like 20 pages of just compact, solid evidence, using, especially leaning on the Surya Satanta, the Hindu astronomy text, and the Plutarch's study of the moon, and then the Book of Two Ways. So, though any one of those books basically has proof of that America was the underworld, but and that the ancients like knew that the earth was round, and et cetera, et cetera. But all three together, it will even make it hard for the the smug, like more scientific than thou kind of orthodoxy gatekeepers. It will even make it difficult for them to refute or to pretend to refute, I think. So, a part of me thinks like, okay, like if I just post the map online, I just post a few things, like anybody who's honest about it and who really cares can figure out the truth. So maybe I should just leave it at that, and so that, all the smug ignoramuses can stay ignorant. But I think it doesn't hurt to just compile all the evidence into one place and then just disseminate it. And but I'll always know that even if the scientific community, quote unquote, like at some point like accepts it and welcomes me with open arms, I'll know that they're just doing that because, that's the way they see the wind blowing. Because, I've tried to email my findings to like all these so many different like archaeologists, anthropologists, Egyptologists, and like none of them even replied. Like one of them replied because they were actually like into the same type of stuff as me. Um, they were already like kind of unorthodox, but like all the orthodox people like in academia, they wouldn't go near this with a 10-foot pole unless they saw that it was becoming orthodox, and then I'm sure they'd try to jump onto the bandwagon. So I will be very wary of any of those type of people jumping on the bandwagon when I know that like if the situation was any different, like their natural proclivity would be to either ignore or traduce me and my work, like they tend to do right now. So, I was gonna submit a piece to the Rosicrucian journal. They have a peer-reviewed journal for the Rosicrucian Society, AMARC, American, I don't know. Anyway, Rosicrucians. But because they're grandmaster, I had emailed her and she had encouraged me to do that. But I mean, they kind of just have a lot of rules for submitting it, and then you're not supposed to like how you compose it, like how it's supposed to be written, and then they don't want you to publish it anywhere else, until it's published by them. So I don't know how long a process that is. So it just seems like I don't care, because it's like I don't care to be peer reviewed, because I know if like the average archaeologist or anthropologist is supposedly my peer, I already know what they think. I already know they hate the truth. I mean, no, okay, let's say I hope I'm wrong, but like, I mean, I've definitely, I can guarantee that a lot of them have been exposed to my work, because I've directly emailed at least like probably like 20 or 30 of them. And then on Facebook and on Twitter, I know that, I've posted in a lot of archaeology groups, so I know a lot of them, at least very, academically trained, uh, people of the anthro or archeo background. Um, and, there's nobody's come forward and been like, oh yeah, I'm part of the archaeology department at such and such, and this is groundbreaking important stuff. Let's get the word out. No. And I'm not sure that will ever happen, because it's like, I mean, I think, in our society, like people are paid to do whatever their boss wants them to do. And in academia, that means like basically, every professor just tends to regurgitate whatever their professor told them. It's very conservative. Academia is very conservative. And now you have like the super woke academia, which is kind of